Okay, hello, my name is Anders Lundgren and welcome to a special edition of Hög av Serier, where I'm sitting with esteemed colleague Sean Branney from the Howard Phillips Lovecraft Historical Society. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you, delightful to be here.
Yes, we've just wrapped up the 6th edition of the Stockholm HP Lovecraft Festival that the HPLHS has been a part of since the inception in 2012.
Amazing that we're both still here and sane and alive after 6 years of Lovecraft.
Yeah, but it's been a lot longer for both of us. And the HPLHS, can you take us back to how you started out?
Sure. Back in the 1980s, I was playing the Chaosium's role-playing game, The Call of Cthulhu, with some friends of mine, and I met a new friend at a theater in downtown Denver, a kid named Andrew Lehman, and I invited him back to my house to play the game Call of Cthulhu, and we had such a great time playing the game that we ended up sort of evolving our own set of rules to do a live action, a Lovecraft-inspired LARP game, and we had a great time doing that back in the 80s, and we formed an organization called the HP Lovecraft Historical Society. And after years of doing game-inspired stuff, we eventually came around to producing Lovecraft-inspired entertainment. So we did a few audio CDs and then made a couple motion pictures. And here we are now 30 years later, and we're still producing Lovecraft-inspired entertainment and going around the world doing weird stuff.
Yeah, that's the way to live.
I think so. We're very lucky.
Yeah, so... can you tell us about a bit about how this evolved? This was, of course, handouts that you started out with for your LARP games. You went into an excruciating amount of detail for these handouts. Everybody who has played Call of Cthulhu knows, of course, how exciting it is to get a piece of aged paper with some form of document or a damaged map or something, and that's the thing that you turned into an art, basically.
We, like other players, it was really fun to get the handouts, and sometimes the photocopied things out of the Chaosium game books weren't always the best ones, and as it turned out, my colleague Andrew Lehman, his family owned a publishing company, and they printed a magazine, and so they had a lot of really nice equipment for producing documents. And so fairly early on in our LARP games, we realized we could, make a newspaper article that looked really just like a real newspaper article, and then got to where we'd shop for the right type of paper. So when you print the newspaper article, it's on the right, it's on newsprint paper, and the fonts are right, and everything about it's right. And so we've kind of taken the art of creating artifacts for our games and try to make the most realistic stuff in any way we can, and a lot of times that involves, nowadays we need a pack of matches from the Gilman House Hotel. Well, we go and have a company that makes matches make us matches that say Gilman House Hotel. So we have different printers and manufacturers of things all around the world that we work with to try and create products that are the most realistic and they feel genuine. And I think why the gamers like props is it makes the story feel more real. It pulls you into the story rather than taking you out of it. And so when we do some of our things like our Dark Adventure radio shows, we include props with them, because as you sit and listen to the show, there's a certain level of reality, but then as you are holding in your hand a photograph of the thing the guy in the show is seeing, and you're looking at a newspaper thing that looks like a genuine copy of the New York Times from 1927, and it just simply makes the experience feel more real, and that makes a stronger emotional connection to the material for the participant.
And you had a Gilman House coaster, as I recall, also, right?
We did. We have cocktail napkins.
Yeah, cocktail napkins.
Cocktail napkins and matches for the Gilman House Hotel, and we've created dozens and dozens of different types of things. Maps to Dunwich, and built based on old railway maps. We found some 1870s railway maps of that part of Western Massachusetts, and we added on just a couple Lovecraft-specific towns on there, and next thing you know, we've got a very realistic map of what somebody in the story would actually be looking at.
Yeah, great. And also you employ a wide variety of experts when you do these things. Like you're just about to wrap up Brotherhood of the Beast, which is your most ambitious radio play to date. And when we had our little conversation on stage here at the Lovecraft Festival a little earlier, you told me about how you employed astronomers and
astrologers. You come to realize when you're trying to make very authentic props that anybody, your own field of expertise is limited. So we've learned that it's just a lot easier. We do our research, but a lot of times it's the quickest way to get things done is to go out and find experts in the field. So we had astronomers and astrologers and Egyptologists and people in a whole lot of different disciplines and working in different languages all over the world, helping us out in creating these props. Calligraphers doing the handwriting, so we can have handwriting that's true to the era that we're looking for in creating these props.
Yes, I've seen how you call to people on the Facebook page, for instance, and ask them, hey, anyone fluent in Arabic, and how long does it usually take for you to get a hit on?
Well, it depends on how difficult the request is.
Yeah, of course.
Something like, do any of you speak Arabic or Hungarian? Usually I'll get a couple people within a few hours.
Yeah.
Every now and then we're looking for something even more esoteric, and it can take a little bit longer. But we've been fortunate too to strike. To find some people who are Lovecraft fans in some really interesting and sort of exotic disciplines. So it's like our go-to guy for Egyptology is a professor of Egyptology at the University of Chicago. He had full access to all their archives and things, so we're like, hey, we're looking for such and such. He's like, let me get back to you, and is excited to have somebody asking him for something that's in his field and pulling things for us. So we have friends in a lot of places, and we're very grateful to the contributions they make to help us make a prop that when you get something like the Brotherhood of the Beast and unfold it feels as real as we can reasonably make it real without having to go buy hundreds of sheepskins to hand make our own parchment or something. There are places we draw the line, but but our line's further out than most people's is.
Yeah, because there were snake skins at least in.
In our show, The White Tree, we made a piece of a relic of voodoo that's called a gree-gree. Yeah. And for our gree-gree, we looked and considered about making synthetic snake skins and how could we print snake skins or whatever. And in the end, we found this herpetological society that they collect all the skins that their snakes shed, and they sell them and we buy them, and then we turn around and give them to our customers. So
great. So it's still a shed skin, so it's a vegan approved.
Absolutely, no snakes are harmed in the making of our gree-gree. So
that's good.
We try to keep it that way.
Yeah, excellent. So we were talking about the Brotherhood of the Beast here, and that's really going back to the roots for you with this, since it's based on a Chaosium scenario. I guess when it was published, it was the biggest scenario to date, I think, right? Or
it might have been. It was one of their first campaigns that they did, and it was published as a standalone thing. It was written by a fellow named Keith Herbert. And it was a big, I think, like a 9-episode globe-spanning adventure kind of thing. And we played it as kids sitting around the table and had a great time with the adventure. So it was fun to go back to it. We talked to the guys over at Chaosium and struck a deal with them where we got their blessing to go forward in adapting it and making a radio play out of it. And then we had the interesting challenge of taking a radio play, which is... of taking an adventure supplement, which gives you a plot and a series of events that happen, and they suggest some of the props and things like that go with it. But we had to come up with a group of investigators who would be the protagonists that our listeners would be hearing go through this same adventure that we played when we were kids sitting around the table with dice. So. Yeah. So we pulled out some of our characters who have shown up in other Dark Adventure Radio Theater episodes and put them into this particular story, and they go on the globe-trotting adventure and experience all kinds of strange things. And we did some deviations from the game supplement as published, so those who are familiar with it will find new and unexpected things happening, and yet I think it will also feel pleasingly familiar to those who knew it back in the day.
Yes, brilliant. And like I said, this is a very ambitious undertaking, and the special edition the Lux edition that you've done came with its own set of challenges, of course, because you decided to present this in not just your regular jewel case, but in a canvas bag it ended up with.
It's true. We with our short shows, we normally include 4 or 5 physical props that'll fit in the jewel case, and we thought for this one, because it's such a big, it's a 3-disc, 3-hour-long epic show, we wanted to do a deluxe version that could involve even more props.
Yeah.
And we realized very quickly that once you get more than 5 or 6, you can no longer fit it in a jewel case. So we were going to need a new form factor. So we originally started out with a list of, I think it was around 107 props that we were considering for this, and
okay.
we winnowed that down. With some of them, sometimes you can think of a prop, but you go, really, is that very fun? And if it's not particularly fun, it's not worth making. So we whittled the list down to I think the final count is 54 props that go in, and then we were like, well, what are we gonna put them in? And the conceit is one of the characters in the story is Professor Nathaniel Ward, who shows up in a few of our other shows. And we thought, well, all right, if he was going on this adventure and he had his own bag, and as they're finding things and finding clues and discovering things and getting newspapers and things like that, he's been kind of storing and categorizing the pieces of evidence in his bag, that we would create Professor Ward's bag. So then we found these great vintage canvas bags. That's a long story in itself, but they're cool bags. And we filled them up with the set of more than 50 props that once it's all together, it weighs about 6.5 pounds. So it's really a significant assortment of things, and a variety of languages, and there's maps and newspapers and photos and police documents and travel guides and a whole variety of different types of things, and including we've got some things that are not paper documents, but they're actual metal objects, and there's a prop that's edible. That's the first time we've done that, so we're waiting to see whether people are going to actually eat it, or they're going to try and save it someday and sell it on eBay. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. So
it can be done with lacquer or whatever.
I can be,
if you want to preserve it.
Tastes better if you want to eat it sooner, but it's up to you, really. You'll, it's a surprise. So,
yeah, great. So, this is your 16th Dart Adventure.
It is our 16th episode of Dark Adventure Radio Theater, and it's the biggest one. It's it's substantially longer than any of the other ones we've done. It's more than twice as long as the longest show we've done in the past. It's got more actors, a lot more music, and sound effects. The sound effects needs for the show are fairly extreme, as the players get into some pretty exciting circumstances. So all these different auditory worlds had to be made to let the listener go along with them to some very unusual corners of the globe and meet some very strange people and go on a great adventure.
Yeah, beautiful. And is it safe to say that this was your most challenging production, or did you have any other experience that were similar in challenge-wise, so to speak? Yeah,
we've had a few that have had some challenges. This one, I think, really just simply because of its massive size. It also, because it's a globe-spanning thing, there are parts of the story that take place in 8 or 9 countries, and we have Romanians and Hungarians and Parisians and New Yorkers and people in Chicago and people in Peru and Peruvian natives and Spanish-speaking Peruvians, and
just the amount of languages is like a polyglot.
It is. The languages. We've got a section in Algeria. We've got a section in Egypt. So there are both language and dialect issues that were much more complicated than any single show that we've ever done before. But we've got a great crew of professional actors in Los Angeles who work on these with us, and if we can't find anybody who's, if any of our regulars don't have a good Algerian dialect, well, fortunately in Los Angeles, if you need an Algerian, you can go find an Algerian. So we got somebody on board to help us out with that, and put together a crew that could stand up to the challenge. But it was a big show. It's I've been working on the audio side of it pretty much every day since August, and we're right at the very final stages of mixing the show, testing it out in different listening environments, headphones versus cars, and things to try and find a mix that works well in as many environments as possible. And sadly, the best mixes are the headphone ones because all the little details are there. Yeah. But sometimes when a lot of people listen to them in cars or on trains, and it's like you have to turn some of the stuff up, pretty loud, so the people who are listening in a noisy environment can, hear and enjoy some of the details too. So try and find that right blend of the all-purpose mix that'll make everybody happy.
Yeah, because we tried it out listening to a sample of the show here at the festival, and it was to get all the nuances out, you had to boost the volume pretty
right.
loud.
Here we're listening in a pretty noisy, public environment, and a lot of people, coming and going. So a lot of the details or even quiet parts of conversations, it's harder to catch. So that's the part of the work that we're doing now. In addition to finishing up some of the last props, getting them ready to go to the printer, and getting them made, and of course back at HP LHS headquarters. We have mountains of documents everywhere, because it's a lot of stuff, that we don't get things made one or two at a time. So it's like, here's 500 Egyptian maps, here's a stack of 300 Peruvian newspaper clippings, getting it all together. So.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Sure.
Yeah. So could you tell us a bit more about your earlier projects with HPLHS? Like you've done 16 Dart shows now, and you've done also the whole font and prop downloads that you can access from the newly refurbished website, might add.
That's right, new and improved. We've done a lot of stuff over the years. So we kind of started as role-playing gamers, and then we became LARPers and did 65 or so LARP games through the 80s and 90s, and then as we finally realized our LARP games were so complicated and expensive. It was like making a movie without a camera. So we were like, well, let's just get a camera and make a movie. So then we made a couple movies. We did a comedic thing called A Shuggoth on the Roof. And then we made the motion pictures, The Call of Cthulhu and The Whisper in Darkness. And then we've done a bunch of different types of music projects over the years, too, where our first ones were... the first one was the musical A Shuggoth on the Roof, and then we did a couple of CDs of Lovecraftian Christmas carols, and those have been very popular over the years. And then we've done, we have Mike's rock opera of The Dreams in the Witch House.
Yeah, Mike Gallagher. Yeah, big friend of the... HPLHS and the Stockholm Festival.
Sweden in general. Mike is our official ambassador to Sweden. And he did his great Dreams in the Witch House rock opera, and then we've done recently we did a CD of the sea shanties of Innsmouth, Massachusetts, which is a fun one. So we've done, and of course Ogham Waite and the Live at the Gilman House was another audio project. So
that's where you could find the matchbook and
the matchbook and the cocktail napkin
we talked about earlier.
Those come with that. So we've done a variety of things, and we do have fonts and props that people can download. We have mugs, we have shirts, we have jackets, we have certificates of insanity. So many different things.
And little Cthulhu idols.
It's true. I think our current list of products is around 115 different things that we sell. So we've got an online website, and we ship stuff all over the world every day, and it's a full-time job for us, and that's what we do.
Yeah, it's great. And the whole base for it is, of course, your excellent credo, Ludo fore putavimus.
Indeed, Ludo Fore Putavimus has driven us for years. That's Latin for we thought it would be fun. And, we try and keep that our underlying ethic is, we think Lovecraft is fun. We have fun with it. And we try and help other people find the same joy with it that we do. And by exploring his work, Lovecraft's works, in different manners and different mediums, and whether you're into music or you just like the original stories, or you really wish you had a T-shirt, or you want to make your own fonts and props, whatever. We have a lot of different ways that we try and share the fun and pleasure that we take in Lovecraft with other similarly inclined folks. And people join our society, and we've got members all over the world now, and people sharing in the fun. So it's a pretty great thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, I certainly think that this conversation has been fun. So thank you so much, Sean, and give my love to Andrew, and keep up the good work.
I certainly will, and such a pleasure to be back here in Sweden again, and we really appreciate your hospitality and the hospitality of everybody here in Stockholm. That's always been so good to us, so thank you so much.
Thank you.